So this is not superstition. It's not like you do something and then because you're afraid of different things. This is according to the Vedas, because of the purified elements in everything coming from the cow. The cultivators, or the Vaishyas, such as Mother Yashoda and the other cowherd women, although her husband wasn't even there, she knew immediately what to do to protect her little son and to purify him from the contamination of coming in contact with a terrible, ferocious witch.
By his personal example, Lord Krishna wanted to teach us the value of protecting cows. Nanda Maharaj is said to have possessed 900,000 cows, and at the time of Lord Sri Krishna, about 5,000 years ago, a tract of land known as Vrindavan was flooded with milk and butter. Therefore, God's gifted professions for mankind are agriculture and cow protection. Light of the Bhagavad.
So here's the Supreme Lord, the Adi Purush, the Ishvara, Paramishvara, and what is he doing? He's serving the cows. He's assisting his father in serving the cows and living a very simple village life. And he's doing this as an example for us so that we can know how to perfect our lives in the same way. In Gokul, that's the place where the perfection of Vatsalya Rasa was experienced by the elderly gopis and the cowherd men. And then, a few years later, after Krishna pulled down the Yamal Arjuna trees, they moved here to Vrindavan, where Krishna engaged in his Poganda Lila. In the Poganda Lila, Krishna used to take care of the calves. And then finally, after 2 or 3 more years, they moved to Nandagram, where Krishna became Gopal. Then he used to take care of the cows. And that in the Poganda Lila, that's when Krishna enjoyed with the cowherd boyfriends in Sakyaras. And then, but it was primary, but the other rasas, of course, were still going on. And then in Nandagram, Madhurya Rasa is prominent. So here, now Krishna's only newborn, just a 6-day-old baby. And anyone who's been around little babies, 6-day-old babies, they can move their hands, they can move their feet, they can't turn over. They need complete attention. So, but Krishna decided intentionally, he wanted to come here to live in Gokul, to give pleasure to Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, and display these beautiful pastimes as Gopal.
May Rishikesha protect your senses and Narayana your life air. May the master of Shwetadeep protect the core of your heart. And may Lord Yogeshwara protect your mind. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.6.24.
So we know from Srila Rupa Goswami that Rishikesha, Rishikena, he's the Lord of the senses. So that's why Mother Yashoda is praying that may he protect your senses. And may the Master of Shvetadvip protect the core of your heart. So the Master of Shvetadvip is Kiradakshai Vishnu, and that's Paramatma. So she's praying to Paramatma. And then may Yogeshwar protect your mind. So Yogeshwar, of course, through the mind, Sama, Dhamma, all of the senses can be controlled. And that's the yoga system. So here she's praying to Yogeshwar that little Krishna's mind be protected.
May Lord Prishnigarbha protect your intelligence and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, your soul. While you are playing, may Govinda protect you. While you are sleeping, may Madhava protect you. May Lord Vaikuntha protect you while you are walking, and may Lord Narayana, the husband of Goddess of Fortune, protect you while you are sitting. Similarly, may Lord Yagyabhuk, the fearful enemy of all evil planets, always protect you while you enjoy life. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:6, 25, 26.
So these are the prayers as translated by Srila Prabhupada in the 10th canto that are exactly corresponding to what Prabhupada said in Krishna book.
Thus Mother Yashoda began to chant different names of Vishnu to protect the child Krishna's different bodily parts. Mother Yashoda was firmly convinced that she should protect her child from different kinds of evil spirits and ghosts, namely Dakinis, Yatudhanis, Kushmandas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, Vinayakas, Kotara, Revati, Jeshtha, Putana, Matrukas, Unmadas, and similar other evil spirits who cause persons to forget their own existence and give trouble to the life air and the senses. Sometimes they appear in dreams and cause much perturbation. Sometimes they appear as old women and suck the blood of small children. But all such ghosts and evil spirits cannot remain where there is chanting of the holy name of God. Krishna book, chapter 6.
So we're not so advanced as Mother Yasoda and the other great devotees who live in Braj. I don't know how many of us know all of these names of Vishnu to chant for our children when there's any disturbance. But by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, we do have the holy name, and we'll learn up ahead how Prabhupada utilized that holy name to rid anywhere, anytime, all of these inauspicious elements.
Prabhupada said, "Tell John Lennon that we can get rid of these ghosts." But John had invited a white witch to come and exorcise the ghost. The warlock visited the cottage and a few devotees tagged along. In the main room he found a carving of a person with a ghost coming out of his forehead, and on the opposite wall he saw ancient witch runes, that is inscriptions. The warlock said, shaking his head, "I can't do anything here." Then John asked the devotees to try their method. Prabhupada directed them. At the cottage they should sprinkle water offered to Krishna in the doorways, blow conch shells, and then have kirtan. After half an hour of chanting, they felt a great release of pressure within the room, and the kirtan became ecstatic. The devotees assured John that ghosts would not return. Actually, Prabhupada said, there are many ghosts here, especially over by the stable areas. They are attached to this place, but they will not harm if you just chant Hare Krishna. This is from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit.
So Prabhupada taught us the way to get rid of these inauspicious elements. We just chant Hare Krishna.
Years ago in India, Prabhupada said when he was running his chemical business, he had detected ghosts in the building at night. "What did you do?" one of the devotees asked. "I simply chanted Hare Krishna and the ghosts would go away." Prabhupada then opened his eyes wide and gestured with both hands, mimicking the frightened workers in the plant who had come running to him. "Babuji, Babuji, there is ghost, there is ghost." The devotees laughed.
So Prabhupada even had personal experience of these ghosts. They're not imaginary. Ghosts, you can experience them on the mental platform. But if there's any ever fear of ghosts or any of the previous mentioned inauspicious personalities, all we have to do is chant Hare Krishna very loudly and they'll run away.
The evil witches known as Dakinis, Yatudhanis, Kushmandas are the greatest enemies of children, and the evil spirits like Bhutas, Pretas, Pishachas, Yakshas, Rakshasas and Vinayakas, as well as the witches like Kotara, Revati, Jeshtha, Putana and the Matrukas are always ready to give trouble to the body, the life air and the senses, causing loss of memory, madness and bad dreams. Like the most experienced evil stars, they all create great disturbances, especially for children. But one can vanquish them simply by uttering Lord Vishnu's name. For when Lord Vishnu's name resounds, all of them become afraid and go away. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.6, 27 to 29.
This Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is so powerful, it's described in the Shastras, that when we chant the 1,000 names of Vishnu Sahasranam, that's equal to one name of Ram. And when we chant Ram's name 3 times, that's equal to one name of Krishna. So just by chanting the name of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it's as if we're chanting thousands and thousands of Vishnu's names. So please chant Hare Krishna.
Greatest enemies of children, these are Dakinis, she who moves in the sky. Yatudhanis are malefic demoness. Kushmandas are witches and devils. Now we are discussing evil spirits. Bhutas are ghosts. Pretas are evil hobgoblins, ghosts tortured by hunger and thirst. Pishachas are flesh-eating demons. Yakshas are similar to Rakshasas, they are mischievous spirits. Rakshasas are man-eater who can change forms. Vinayakas are type of Rakshasas. Witches, one who possesses demoniac supernatural powers. Kotara is a witch of that name. Revati is also a witch of that name. Jyeshta is a powerful witch. Putana knew the black art of killing small children. And Matrukas are evil women.
So next time we hear about these different personalities, we'll know what their special quality is.
As stated in Brahma Samhita 5.33, Advaitam Achyutam Anadin Anantarupam Adyam Puranam Purusham Navayauvanam Ja Vedeshu Durlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhaktau Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Vajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda, who is the original person, non-dual, infallible and without beginning. Although he expands into unlimited forms, he is still the original, and although he is the oldest person, he always appears as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful and all-knowing forms of the Lord cannot be understood by the academic wisdom of the Vedas, but they are always manifest to pure, unalloyed devotees. Bhagavad-Gita 10.6, Srimad Bhagavatam 10.6, 27 to 29, purport.
So Vedeshu Durlabham. Very, very rare to understand the Supreme Lord through the Vedas. But Adurlabham Atma Bhakto. For the pure devotees, not so rare. They can understand Krishna. And how do they understand Krishna? By hearing from another pure devotee. That's the importance of hearing. And that's why Prabhupada, very early when he didn't know how long he would live, he took all the effort to translate this Krishna book, the entire 10th canto for us, in one big book. So if we want to understand Krishna, and we want to understand his original, eternal, Nava-Yovana Leela as an eternal youth, then we just have to read Krishna book.
While decorating the body with tilaka, we give protection to the body by chanting 12 names of Vishnu. Although Govinda or Lord Vishnu is one, he has different names and forms with which to act differently. But if one can remember all the names at one time, one may simply chant Lord Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, and always think of Lord Vishnu. Vishnur Aradhanam Param. This is the highest form of worship. If one remembers Vishnu always, even though one is disturbed by many bad elements, one can be protected without a doubt. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.6, 27 to 29 purport.
And the holy name is so powerful, we learn from the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that even if inattentively one is chanting, for instance Ajamil, he chanted the name of his son when he saw the Yamadutas coming, but when he chanted that name of Narayan only once, one time he said Narayan, he remembered the original Supreme Lord Narayan from when he was a child and he used to worship Narayan. And just from that sound vibration, the Yamadutas immediately came and protected him from the Vishnu Dutas came and protected him from the Yamadutas. So if we can remember the names of Vishnu, for instance, we're chanting when we put on tilak every day, different forms of the Lord that reside in different places in our body. If not, then we just have to say Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. Actually, this is the way we used to offer bhoga, by just saying Shri Vishnu sometimes.
Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnor aradhanam param tasmat parataram Devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Lord Shiva told Goddess Durga, "My dear Devi, although the Vedas recommend worship of demigods, the worship of Lord Vishnu is topmost. However, above the worship of Lord Vishnu is the rendering of service to Vaishnavas who are related to Lord Vishnu." This is from Padma Puran, quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 11.31.
So here in the Gokul Leela, you'll see Krishna with his devotees, and Krishna himself is serving his devotees, just to set example for us. He brings the shoes of Nanda Maharaj, he'll play with his friends, and especially he serves the cows. They're also Vaishnavas, the cows. So Krishna, that's why he's called Govinda and Gopal, because he's busy all day, just like his father, serving the cows.
The Ayurveda Shastra recommends, Aushadhi chintayet Vishnum. Even while taking medicine, one should remember Vishnu, because the medicine is not all in all, and Lord Vishnu is the real protector. The material world is full of danger. Padam padam yad vipadam. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-58. Therefore, one must become a Vaishnava and think of Vishnu constantly. This is made easier by the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended Kirtaniyaha Sada Harihi. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 17:31. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam and Kirtana Deva Krishnasya Mukta Sangaha Param Brajet. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:6, 27-29 purport.
So these all come from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sikshastakam, where he gives in the 8 verses how one should take complete shelter of the holy name, because it gives us Purnamritam, full nectar of life. So this material world being full of danger, and because we're born in Kali Yuga, we don't have such sharp intelligence, our memories are short, but if we can just remember the holy name and chant constantly. Now this chanting constantly also includes lecturing, speaking about Krishna, and reading about Krishna. In the temple, for instance, we have 24-hour kirtan. But Srila Prabhupada explained to us that the Srimad Bhagavatam classes and the other discourses, that's also kirtan. So therefore, the kirtan is going on 24 hours even while class is going on.
Mother Yashoda was firmly convinced of the Vedic injunctions about the importance of cows and holy name of Vishnu. Therefore, she took the shelter in the cows and the name of Vishnu just to protect her child Krishna. She recited all the holy names of Vishnu so that he might save the child. Vedic culture has taken advantage of keeping cows and chanting the holy name of Vishnu since the beginning of the history. And persons who are still following the Vedic ways, especially the householders, keep at least 12 cows and worship the deity of Lord Vishnu, who is installed in their house. Krishna Book, Chapter 6.
So to keep 12 cows in their home might not be possible for everyone. One time Shivaram Swami, he was saying, well, how, if you're living in Singapore in a little apartment, how can you keep a cow? So if you can't personally keep a cow, you can do go seva by helping those who are keeping cows, and that's also just as auspicious. So therefore we have goshalas. Now goshalas cannot be maintained only on charity, on donations. You need land, and you need to work the bulls, because the bulls have to be active. So therefore there's a whole culture, and that's the Vaishya Varnashram system. So as Krishna grew up in Braj, he followed that system also by taking care of the cows. That's the Goraksha. And then his brother Balaram, he was in charge of the Krishi, the agricultural side where the bulls are used. So both of these things go hand in hand in village life, and this is real Vedic life.
The elderly gopis of Vrindavan were so absorbed in affection for Krishna that they wanted to save him, although there was no need to, for he had already protected himself. They could not understand that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, playing as a child. After performing the formalities to protect the child, Mother Yashoda took Krishna and let him suck her own breast. When the child was protected by Vishnu mantra, Mother Yashoda felt that he was safe. Krishna book chapter 6.
So far, in none of these slokas that we've read, after Krishna killed Putana, did the gopis speculate, how did Putana die? They weren't even concerned. They were only concerned about protecting baby Krishna. They were so 100% Krishna conscious, they were just thinking of his welfare. And in that Vatsalya Ras, just as a mother cow protects her little Vats, her little calf, they picked him up, they chanted all the mantras, they bathed him with so many cow products, and put the tail of the cow all around him, just for his protection. And the fact that Putana was dead, they weren't even thinking, now how did this happen? Who did it? No, they were only concerned about Krishna, and that's 100% Krishna consciousness.
Srila Shukadeva Goswami continued, all the gopis headed by Mother Yashoda were bound by a maternal affection. After they thus chanted mantras to protect the child, Mother Yashoda gave the child the nipple of her breast to suck, and then got him to lie down on his bed. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:6-30. When a baby drinks milk from the breast of his mother, this is a good sign of health. So the elder gopis were not satisfied with chanting mantras to give protection to Krishna. They also tested whether their child's health was in order. When the child sucked the breast, this confirmed that he was healthy, and when the gopis were fully satisfied, they had the child lie down on his bed. This is the purport.
Now also in Ayurveda, it's 100% recommended that a newborn baby be given the breast milk. And that's as long as possible. So long as the breast milk is there, the baby should continue to drink. As for the cow gives excess, and therefore the calf receives the milk that it needs, and the excess milk is used by the humans for making nice milk preparations for the Lord, for His pleasure. So they wanted to make sure that the child was not affected by Putana, so they put him on Mother Yasoda's breast, and he immediately began to drink, and that was a very good sign. And then after drinking, because mother's milk is the best thing for a child, Mother Yasoda put him in his bed, and he happily went to sleep.
In the meantime, all the cowherd men who went to Mathura to pay tax returned home and were struck with wonder at seeing the gigantic dead body of Putana. Krishna book chapter 6. Meanwhile, all the cowherd men headed by Nanda Maharaj returned from Mathura, and when they saw on the way the gigantic body of Putana lying dead, they were struck with great wonder. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:6-31.
They couldn't understand where she came from, And in fact, Nanda Maharaj was even thinking, well, maybe I made a wrong turn and maybe we're not in Gokul, we're someplace else, because that big body wasn't there when he left, and he only went across the river, paid the tax, and then Vasudeva had him come right back.
Nanda Maharaj's wonder may be understood in various ways. First of all, the cowherd men had never before seen such a gigantic body in Vrindavan, and therefore they were struck with wonder. Then they began to consider where such a body has come from, whether it had dropped from the sky, or whether by some mistake or by the power of some mystic yogini they had come to some place other than Vrindavan. They could not actually guess what had happened, and therefore they were struck with wonder. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.6.31 purport.
So this is a beautiful painting here. In the upper left-hand corner, this is Kamsa speaking to Putana, sending her to Braj. And then she assumes the beautiful form and comes to where Yashoda and Krishna are. And she picks up Krishna from his bed, and the cowherd men over there in the corner, they're simply astounded by the beauty of Putana, so nobody stops her. There's Rohini and Yashoda also allowing her to pick up Krishna. Then Krishna kills her, and they pick up baby Krishna, and they do all of their puja with the cow. And here come the cowherd men over here. They're just returning from Mathura.
Nanda Maharaj recalled the prophecy of Vasudeva and considered him a great sage and mystic yogi. Otherwise, how could he have foretold an incident that happened during his absence from Vrindavan? Krishna Book Chapter 6. Nanda Maharaj and other Gopas exclaimed, "My dear friends, you must know that Anakadundabi Vasudeva has become a great saint or a master of mystic power. Otherwise, how could he have foreseen this calamity and predicted it to us?" Srimad Bhagavatam 10.6.32.
Prabhupada gives an example about being a great saint or a master of mystic power. There was one man, he was sitting on a branch, and he was sawing the branch where he was sitting. And some ordinary men came by, and they said, "Stop sawing the branch, you're going to fall off. You're cutting the branch off where you're sitting." And the fool, he said, "Bah, why should I listen to them?" And then he cut the branch, and sure enough, he fell off onto the ground. And then he went to the men, he said, "Oh, you're very great astrologers. How could you tell that I was going to fall off of the branch?" So a person who's not highly educated, when someone tells them about something that's going to happen in the future, they think that that person is a great astrologer, a great saint, or a master of mystic power, because they themselves are not so well educated. But we'll find out in the next one how Vasudeva was able to tell Nanda Maharaj.
This verse illustrates the difference between Kshatriyas and innocent Vaishyas. By studying the political situation, Vasudeva could see what would happen, whereas Nanda Maharaj, the king of the agriculturists, could only guess that Vasudeva was a great saintly person and had developed mystic powers. Vasudeva actually had all mystic powers under his control. Otherwise, he could not have become the father of Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.6.32 purport.
From the very start of this Leela, at the beginning of the Krishna book, Vasudeva, of course, didn't trust Kamsa. When he brought the first baby to Kamsa, as he promised, Kamsa said, "I have no fear of this child, you can take the baby home." But he didn't trust Kamsa. He knew that Kamsa could change his mind at any time. So now, after all these years of observing Kamsa, he understood how cruel and how unpredictable he actually was. So that was why he was able to give this good advice to Nanda Maharaj, because he knew that Kamsa was sending all of these demoniac people to kill all the little babies, and therefore he sent Nanda Maharaj back immediately. So you can call this mystic powers, or you can call this a very highly intelligent person. Now in the case of Krishna's birth, the mystic powers came from Krishna himself, but Vasudeva, being a pure devotee, he cooperated with Krishna's desires, did everything that Krishna instructed him to do, and it appeared therefore that he actually was a great mystic yogi.
But in fact, he foresaw the calamities in Vraja by studying Kamsa's political activities, and thus warned Nanda Maharaj to take precautions. Although Nanda Maharaj thought that Vasudeva had predicted this incident through wonderful mystic powers, the mystic powers gained through practice of Hatha Yoga, one can study and understand the future. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.632 purport.
Not only by Hatha Yoga, but by the other sections of the Vedas. For instance, if one understands astrology is called Jyotish Shastra, yes. So right now coming up, June 5th is an eclipse, and they get again, I think June 11th, something like that, or June 18th, and then another one, July. In July there's going to be 3 eclipses right in a row. So those who know Jyotish Shastra, they're warning in advance that these are very inauspicious times when both Ketu during the moon eclipse and Rahu during the solar eclipse, they overpower the auspicious elements in the universe. So they're warning, you have to chant Hare Krishna, you have to take shelter of the Supreme Lord at this time, because there are inauspicious elements that are going to affect the atmosphere.
After this, all the residents of Vraja cut the gigantic body of Putana into pieces and piled it up with wood for burning. Krishna Book Chapter 6. The inhabitants of Vraja cut the gigantic body of Putana into pieces with help of axes. Then they threw the pieces far away, covered them with wood and burned them to ashes. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.633.
So we already heard that Putana, when she fell, 12 miles long body, she broke down so many trees. You can see that on the top there, all the trees broken down. And then all the cowherd men got together and chopped up her body because they couldn't carry a 12-mile long body. So they took her in pieces and they took her far away. We heard about that kund called Putana Kund in a village called Kechari. So they took her over there, a distance from Gokul, and they burned her body.
It is the practice that after a snake has been killed, his body is cut into various pieces for fear that it may come to life again simply by interacting with air. Merely killing a serpent is not sufficient. After it is killed, it must be cut to pieces and burned, and then the danger will be over. Putana resembled a great serpent, therefore the cowherd men took the same precautions by burning her body to ashes. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.633 purport.
So previously, when we first got the donation from Mr. Tapadia of our Goshala land, which was just the compound with the wall, there were many snakes there. So those of us who had to live there, we had to encounter these snakes regularly. And in fact, one of our cowherd men, his father came to visit that one night, and a cobra bit him and he died by the next morning. And just on the other side of our wall was a Naga Baba who knew the mantras for controlling snakes. So whenever we saw a snake, we would run to the Naga Baba, he would chant his mantras, and the snakes would go out of the Goshala. But then we realized that the Naga Baba, the same way he could control the snakes to go out of the Goshala, he was also sending the snakes into the Goshala, because we would always give him a donation every time he got rid of the snakes. So then we learned that we should kill the snakes, because even Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, when in Mayapur, Prabhupada was with him, and he had the devotees kill a snake. And then Prabhupada found in the Srimad Bhagavatam a sloka that says that the saintly persons are happy when snakes and scorpions are killed because they're envious by nature. So what we learned when killing these snakes is that you have to burn the snake, because the snake's eyes, they have a image in them, and that image is whoever killed them. The image is there within the eye, and the mate of the snake, if you don't burn the snake, will look in the eye and see the image of that person who killed its mate, and then come after that person and kill that person. This is what we were taught, at least. So even while living at the Goshala here in Vrindavan, even though it's Vrindavan, even though everyone is supposed to be a devotee here in Gokul Vrindavan, still we were advised to kill the snakes and then cut them up and make sure to burn them.
When all the limbs of Putana's body were burning, the smoke emanating from the fire created a good aroma. This aroma was due to her being killed by Krishna. This means that the demon Putana was washed off all her sinful activities and attained a celestial body. Here is the example of how the Supreme Personality of Godhead is all good. Putana came to kill Krishna, but because he sucked her milk, she was immediately purified, and her dead body attained a transcendental quality. Krishna Book, Chapter 6.
Transcendental quality means that she was liberated and she was able to return to the spiritual world with a motherly rasa.
Because of Krishna's having sucked the breast of Rakshasi Putana, when Krishna killed her, she was immediately freed of all material contamination. Her sinful reactions automatically vanished, and therefore when her gigantic body was being burnt, the smoke emanating from her body was fragrant like aguru incense. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.6.34. Aguru, oud or agar wood, is a resinous wood, one of the most rare and precious natural raw materials in the world. It is formed in the heartwood of Aquilaria trees when they become infected with a type of mold. As the infection progresses, the tree produces a resin in the response to the attack. In the result, it creates a dark resin embedded heartwood by taking minimum of 50 to 60 days. 50 to 60 years. Thus, oud is special. Its scent is complex and indescribable, varies according to the ages and origins. It has also cultural and religious significance in ancient civilizations around the world, being described in the 1400 BC in one of the world's oldest written texts, Vedas from India. In the Hebrew Bible, it is also mentioned and highly revered in Islam as well. In Japan, oud is used in the Kodo incense ceremony. It is a symbol of spirituality as associated with Buddha and burned to communicate with ancestors.
So now when we read about aguru, I don't know if the aguru that we use in our temple is real aguru or not, because you see here, it's so rare. It's one of the most precious of all the natural raw materials in the world. And it takes 50 to 60 years for that heartwood to develop.
Her only business was to kill small children. She was only fond of blood, but in spite of being envious of Krishna, she attained salvation because she gave her milk to him to drink. So what can be said of others who are affectionate to Krishna in the relationship of mother and or father? This is Krishna Book, Chapter 6. Such are the effects of Krishna consciousness. If one somehow or other becomes Krishna conscious by applying his senses in the service of the Lord, one is immediately freed from material contamination. Shronvatam Swagataha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Srimad Bhagavatam 1-17. Hearing about the activities of Krishna is the beginning of purified life. Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, simply by hearing and chanting one becomes purified. Therefore, in discharging devotional service, Shravana Kirtana, hearing and chanting, is most important. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.6.34 purport.
So there was one great devotee, Bilvamangala Thakur, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to enjoy very much his book called Krishna Karnamrita, which is nectar for the ears, Karnamrita. And he would sing beautiful songs, and the songs were so beautiful that he sang that Krishna himself would come and listen to those songs. And we'll hear about him now.
Bilvamangal Thakur, receiving Diksha from Somagiri, he got the name Leela Shuka for his expertise in describing the Madhurya Leela of Radharani and Krishna. He felt so much ecstasy from singing about Govinda's pastimes and playing his veena. In Vrindavan, Shri Krishna would personally give Bilvamangal prasadam and lead him to a safe resting place. At first, Leela Shuk did not know his identity. Then one day, Krishna played his flute, and Bilvamangal desired to see the beautiful sweet form of Shyamasundara. He reached out to touch Krishna, but Gopal touched Bilvamangala's hand, laughed lovingly and ran away. Singing, Bilvamangal said, "You can run away from my hand, but you can never leave my heart."
So these are the effects of completely absorbing ourselves in Shravana Kirtana. Even Krishna comes to hear when we're singing sincerely.
Then with purified senses one begins to render service to the Lord. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. CC Madhya 19:170. Bhakti Ruchyate. This is called Bhakti. When Putana was somehow or other, directly or indirectly, induced to render some service to the Lord by feeding him her breast, she was immediately purified. So much so that her nasty material body was burnt to ashes. When her nasty material body was burnt to ashes, it gave off the fragrance of aguru, the most agreeable scented herb. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.6.34 purport. The pure devotees always serve Krishna with great love and affection, for he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the super soul of every living entity. It is concluded, therefore, that even a little energy expanded in the service of the Lord gives one immense transcendental profit. This is explained in the Bhagavad-Gita, Swalpam Apyasya Dharmasya. Devotional service in Krishna consciousness is so sublime that even a little service to Krishna, knowingly or unknowingly, gives one the greatest benefit. Krishna Book, Chapter 6.
So this knowingly or unknowingly means agyata sukriti, that we're doing service for Krishna and we're not even aware of it. But how much more powerful it is to knowingly and consciously engage in Krishna's service. And that service is given to us by the spiritual master. Particularly, Prabhupada wanted us to establish the temples as places for education. And after establishing the temple, for instance, even here, as soon as the temple was established, even before it was open, Prabhupada began looking for land so that he could grow crops for the temple and he could have a goshala. So that was the very next step. Not just a temple, but the community has to be there, because we have to become self-sufficient agriculturally and through cow protection. So these two things go along with worshipping the Supreme Lord. Along with in the temple, the worship that we perform, we should be prepared to set up a whole community with simple living and high thinking.
The system of worshipping Krishna by offering flowers from a tree is also beneficial for the living entity who is confined to the bodily existence of that tree. When flowers and fruits are offered to Krishna, the tree that bore them also receives much benefit indirectly. The Archana process or worshipping procedure is therefore beneficial for everyone. Krishna is worshipable by great demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva, and Putana was so fortunate that the same Krishna played in her lap as a little child. The lotus feet of Krishna, which are worshipped by great sages and devotees, were placed on the body of Putana. Krishna Book, Chapter 6.
Putana was actually so fortunate, although she came with ill motive. She wanted to kill the Supreme Lord. He still benedicted her. He took her milk and he blessed her by placing his little newborn little lotus feet on her body. So Putana was purified entirely, so much so that when she gave up her body, when it was burnt, a beautiful scent came, and then she immediately entered into her spiritual body to engage in pure devotional service for Krishna.
People worship Krishna and offer food, but automatically he sucked the milk from the body of Putana. Devotees therefore pray that if simply by offering something as an enemy, Putana got so much benefit, then who can measure the benefit of worshipping Krishna in love and affection? Krishna Book, Chapter 6. Aho bakiyam sthanakalakutam jighansaya apayadapi asadhi Lebe gatim dhatruchitam tatonyam kamvam dayalum sharanam vrajema. Alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than him, Lord Krishna, who granted the possession of mother to the she-demon Putana, although she was faithless and had prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. Srimad Bhagavatam 3:2-23. Lord Krishna accepted the motherhood of Putana because she pretended to be an affectionate mother, allowing Krishna to suck her breast. The Lord accepted at the least qualification of the living entity and awards him highest reward. That is the standard of his character. Therefore, who but the Lord can be the ultimate shelter?
So here Putana, her name doesn't come in the sloka. She's called Baki. Baki because she's the sister of Baka, the other Asura. She was the first to die, and then after she died, Baki came, and he wanted to kill Krishna. Baki also died, and then the third came, that was Aga, and he wanted to kill Krishna, not just Krishna, but all of the cowherd boys, as a remuneration that he could make an offering of all those cowherd boys, just like sesame, to pacify his brother and sister who were already killed by Krishna. So here, Prabhupada, he explains that although here, Lord Krishna accepts the least qualification, that means she offered her milk to Krishna of the living entity, and awards him the highest reward. So although her intentions were completely demoniac, simply because she offered milk to Krishna, he gave her the highest reward of liberation from this material world. And that's how merciful Krishna is.
Putana was always hankering for the blood of human children, and with that desire she came to kill Krishna. But because she offered her breast to the Lord, she attained the greatest achievement. What then is to be said of those who had natural devotion and affection for Krishna as mothers, and who offered him their breast to suck, or offered something very dear, as a mother offers something to a child? Srimad Bhagavatam 10:6-35-36.
So of course Mother Yasoda, being the actual mother of Krishna, she offered her breast milk. But all the other elderly gopis, they would also feed Krishna either their breast milk or later the milk from their homes. And they all had that motherly love for Krishna. And they all wanted Krishna as their son. So that's why later in the Leela at the here in Vrindavan, when Krishna was in his Poganda Leela, he satisfied the desires of all of these elderly gopis by expanding into all the cowherd boys to become their son. And at that time, all the elderly cowherd ladies were able to feed Krishna their milk and do all the things that Mother Yasoda would have normally done when he took the form of the cowherd boys. So I think that's it for today. Yes, that's all. We're finishing 5 minutes early today. Hare Krishna.
Are you starting at 5:45 now?
Yes, we start at 5:45 now. 5:45.
Starting at 5:45?
Yeah, because they have the brahmacharis.